All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. It's a little bit after 6:30. Just want to give other people time to get here. I'm Dr. Greg Weiss, Superintendent of Silsbee ISD, and I want to welcome and thank everyone for being here tonight, for taking the time out of your evening to learn more about our 2023 bond presentation and bond program that the board called on August 8, 2023. And with me tonight, I do have our Board of Trustees here with us, and we have Ms. Janice Holt, our Board President, Mr. Darrell Ferguson, our Vice President, Mr. Bo Rulon, our Secretary, and our other trustees. We have Mr. Kenny Fisher, Ms. Dana Hancock, Ms. Cindy Smith. So we hope tonight's presentation shares more information and answers some more questions for you about what our bond is. We hope this serves as an informational opportunity to learn more what it is and what it isn't. So again, we're not here to tell you how to vote, but just what you'd be voting on. And so tonight's presentation, what the format will be, we'll go through our slideshow presentation. It'll have some videos within it, and then we'll move to a question and answer portion of the meeting in which our communications director, Kelsey, where's she hiding at? Kelsey, who does all of our work, gets all the information out on our website and Facebook page of all the great things that are going on with our school district and with our kids, but she'll moderate that portion of that. And what we'll do, we ask for questions to be submitted in advance, and so we'll hit those questions and answers. Our board will help answer those questions, and then we'll go over some questions that we've collected throughout. And then if you feel like your questions haven't been answered, then we'll have a portion of at the end of our meeting to be able to ask further questions from you. So with that said, we're going to go ahead and begin this presentation. And let's hope technology works like it's supposed to. All right, also with us tonight is Rob Clark and Ronald Jones with Architectural Alliance. Y'all just raise your hand. They assisted us in helping put this bond proposal together as far as we did some assessments throughout all of our facilities throughout the past year, and then they worked also with our facility advisory committee, and so they did a great job of working with us on that. We also have Mr. Doug Witt here with Samco Capital. He is our financial advisor, and so we worked with Mr. Witt on determining what our bond capacity, and then as far as what our tax rates and how that's going to impact our community. So, ending there with talking about tax rates, I want to go ahead and start with, and you may have seen this, some of this information out on our website about the the two components of our tax rate for a school district. And so I'm gonna play this video. If you've seen it again, I apologize, but it does a great job of explaining of what our tax rate and how that works and the two components of that.
So what does a bond election mean to taxpayers? It is important to understand that a school district's tax rate is made up of two components, the M&O, or Maintenance and Operations Tax Rate, and the INS, or Interest and Sinking Tax Rate. The revenue generated from the M&O tax rate combined with state funding and some federal revenue is what makes up the general operating budget of the district. The general operating budget covers daily operations including salaries, utilities, routine maintenance, and instructional supplies. The revenue generated from the INS tax rate is used to repay money that the district borrows for items designated as capital improvements. When a bond is approved by local school district voters, the increased tax rate is used to pay for bonds, which could finance things like facility renovations, technology upgrades, new facilities, fine arts and athletic facilities, and improve student safety and security. The INS tax rate revenue cannot be used for general operations. Bond elections can only be placed on the ballot on the May or November elections, and only registered voters in the school district are eligible to vote on the propositions.
All right, so two components to our tax rate for our school system, and so our maintenance and operation, routine maintenance, salaries, student supplies, instructional supplies, salaries, if I didn't already say that, and then our INS. It has to be voter approved, and it's just like you taking a loan out for your home or for a car. We're going to secure that loan, and then we're going to pay it back over the term. And so, again, that portion of it has to be voter approved. Just to touch a little bit about our financial history, Over the past 4 years, Texas Education Agency has a school first rating that measures and tells the community how well our school district has been using taxpayer funds and state funds. And for over the last 4 years, we've received a A+ rating. And of the 3 of the 4 years, it's been a perfect score with that. So we're proud of how we've been using our taxpayer dollars, and it reflects in the state reports. So it's been 10 years since the last school bond, and obviously that's that beautiful elementary school that we do have back behind our administration office, $29.9 million. It included construction of the new elementary and some demolition of return time elementary school and gymnasium, the conversion of Laura Reeves Elementary into a primary campus, and rehabilitation, renovations, and additions to our Edwards Johnson Middle School. The average age of our facilities, this is hard to read, 75% of SISD facilities affected by this bond are more than 35 years old. And our older facilities, you know, with time, this is a 56-year-old facility. Some of our parts and other things become obsolete. It costs more to keep these things running. And so, you know, we're part of this bond for the primary reason is aging facilities. And then the changing of state standards. A lot of the programs that we offer now require more space for our students to have these programs. So these are just a few of the reasons. Our Facility Advisory Committee. This was a great time that we had over this past summer of working together on this. Again, our administration and teacher and staff worked through a year of looking at our facilities and working with Architectural Alliance. And then we developed our committee, made up of community members, business leaders, and teachers and administrators from all of our campuses. And we met over a series of meetings of what our needs were and how we would tackle the areas of addressing our aging facilities and what we thought was going to be best for students of Silsbee ISD. So what's on the bond proposition? We have a new Edwards Johnson Memorial Silsbee Middle School. We have a new Laura Reeves Intermediate Campus, so our current Laura Reeves Primary, looking to make it into an intermediate level campus. Our Silsbee High School additions and renovations. And then we have a DAEP, which is our Disciplinary Alternative School, relocating it. So we have, if you may have seen this also on our Facebook page, but we have a video here that talks a little bit more about these projects, and so I'm going to go ahead and start this. This is about a 7-minute video or so, just kind of identifies a lot of our projects, a bit about our community.
Welcome to Silsbee ISD. Nestled in the piney woods of southeast Texas, deep within the Big Thicket National Preserve, Silsbee offers a hometown atmosphere with modern conveniences set in one of the most beautiful natural environments in Texas, and where every day is a great day to be a Tiger. That's why Silsbee ISD's Board of Trustees unanimously approved calling a bond election for November 7th, 2023. It's been 10 years since the last Silsbee ISD bond, which included a new Silsbee Elementary School campus. The 2023 bond will ask voters to consider one proposition. As a member of the Silsbee community, your vote has a direct impact. The proposed bond has been developed through the collaborative efforts of the superintendent, campus administration, and the bond committee, a distinguished task force composed of campus administration, classroom teachers, community leaders, and business owners. Their mission was to identify the district's needs and present a comprehensive plan to the Board of Trustees. The committee's final recommendation focused on these priorities. Number 1, the construction of a career and technical education center and ag barn, updates to aging athletic facilities, and additions and renovations at Silsbee High School. Number 2, construction of a new Edwards Johnson Memorial Silsbee Middle School. Number 3, renovating Laura Reeves into an intermediate campus. Number 4, relocation of the DAEP facility. Proposition A includes the construction of a career and technical education building at Silsbee High School. Our current career and technical education classrooms are built for careers of the 90s. Labs and classroom spaces don't meet industry standards for square footage, safety features, ventilation, and storage of materials. Tools and equipment are outdated or broken. Career and technical education prepares students for real-world opportunities. Some students graduate with industry-based certifications. The new building will include floral design, culinary, robotics, and nursing. Currently, our students don't have access to an ag barn while participating in ag education and FFA programs at Silsbee ISD. Prop A includes the construction of a new 16-pin ag barn where students can be exposed to hands-on learning opportunities in an outdoor environment, while also gaining knowledge for the agricultural industry. Currently, the front entrance at Silsbee High School does not have a security vestibule. Proposition A includes entry cameras, vestibule glass walls, check-in glass, and security monitors at the high school. Proposition A also addresses aging athletic facilities. Included are updates to the softball and baseball complex, including the installation of turf fields and drainage improvements. Current softball and baseball field facilities have experienced long-time drainage issues, causing multiple home competitions to be canceled. Additionally, our student athletes often have no place to practice until standing water can be pumped and adequate drying time allowed. Resurfacing of tennis courts is also included in Bond 2023 and would address long-time drainage issues. The current tennis courts have massive cracks and water damage. Prop A includes construction of a new Edwards Johnson Memorial Silsbee Middle School. The current building was constructed in 1967 and has reached the end of its life cycle. The 56-year-old facility would require substantial renovations to bring up to minimum TEA standards, as well as new safety and current federal ADA compliance. The new construction of a new middle school would provide state-of-the-art facilities, which will include a competition gymnasium, a new ag facility, band hall, and 4-lane track. Reconfiguration of grades would occur to include only 7th and 8th grade students. Included in Proposition A are renovations at Laura Reeves Primary, LRP, that could create an intermediate campus and utilize current facilities. LRP would be reconfigured to house grades 4th, 5th, and 6th. Pre-K through kindergarten would then be relocated to the Silsbee Elementary School, SES. Substantial renovations would be made to the current LRP campus to address school safety, adding additional faculty restrooms, a teacher workroom, as well as accommodate and support additional grade levels and academic program requirements. In addition to the new 6th grade wing, the campus will also include a band hall, science room, art room, and choir room. Currently, the DAEP facility is located across town from our current educational facilities. To reduce the footprint across the district and to create a safer teaching learning environment, this facility will be relocated and placed at a location adjacent to our middle school campus. School districts in Texas don't receive state funding for renovating or building schools. Instead, they must receive funds through voter-approved school bond elections. Recent legislation will deliver the largest property tax cut to property owners in Texas history. The combination of the compression and a new $100,000 homestead exemption will cut school property taxes on homesteaded property. So what is the impact of Bond 2023? After passage, the estimated impact would be $7.86 per month on the average home valued at $150,000. The average homeowner will still see an overall decrease on their school taxes. Homeowners aged 65 years and older will not be impacted by the passage of this bond. Their taxes will not exceed the frozen amount that was established when their over 65 exemption was granted. Take a look at the ballot language. Legislation passed in 2019 requires school districts to include the statement, "This is a property tax increase," even though there will be no increase over the frozen dollar amount or when there is a decrease in the overall annual impact. The overall tax rate for Silsbee ISD is lower today than it has been at any point in over 10 years. Delaying implementation of the bond program exposes the district to inflation and escalating construction costs, estimated at $10 million per year. The district has a record of actively managing its outstanding debt to achieve savings for taxpayers. The 2013 bond is structured to phase out in 2039. In 2020, a portion of the 2013 bond was refunded and saved taxpayers $1 million. Election day for the Silsbee ISD bond proposal is Tuesday, November 7th. Vote early from October 23rd through November 3rd. A complete list of early voting and Election Day sites can be found on the district's bond website at silsbeeisd.org/bond2023. Please remember, Tigers, go vote.
All right. So we start talking about what these projects look like, and I think you did a good job of hitting those. But we're talking about dollar amounts. Our new Edwards Johnson Memorial Silsbee Middle School would be $39.2 million. That's the estimated amount. Construction of the new Edwards Johnson, let's see, it would include a larger band hall, choir room, as well as art room to accommodate growth. And again, it would be built for growth. Other additions to that would be an ag science building and plans to include a new competition gymnasium as well as keeping our current gymnasiums. We have these two gymnasiums over here already, so we talked about that. We talked about it as a committee, what that would do for our school, our programs, and our community. We're a very active community. We have a lot of organizations, a lot of groups. We also looked at using those two gymnasiums for our cheer and for our drill team as well. Have a place for them to go. But we also, again, our community is so very active that they often want to use a lot of our gyms and facilities, and so this would make a perfect place for those to be able to do that as well. And we don't have a bad basketball team, so we can also have some nice tournaments that bring in people into this community. Grade reconfiguration with this new middle school. Look, not only are we wanting to address aging facilities, we also see it's in our best interest of our sixth grade students to be relocated to an intermediate level campus. And so that is a big part of this bond is making sure that we look at being able to reconfigure these grades and create an intermediate level, 4th, 5th, and 6th. Look, when we looked at some of those sixth graders, I looked at those kids as fifth graders for over a 3-year period, three different groups of fifth grade students. And when they became sixth grade students over here at our middle school, we saw referrals not only double but some triple. And that's student discipline referrals. Can we say that's just because they went into the middle school campus? Well, maybe not completely, but the numbers don't lie with that. And so there has to be a little bit of truth in that. And so we feel that relocating our sixth grade to an intermediate level campus would give them greater individual success as well as better academic transitions. And so that is a big part of this bond. Also, when we looked at the renovation, because we looked at renovation versus a new campus. And so when we looked at that comparison, it was about 82% of a renovation, 82% of that was of a new school building. And so, we felt like that as a committee, we talked about that. And so we didn't see that being efficient use of tax dollars of trying to reinvest more into this facility to where in the end, we're still going to have a 56-year-old bones underneath these renovations. And so that was another thought with our building of a new middle school. And then you can see just, I think we've got the handouts that includes that as well if you can't see the TVs of just how this is laid out. I think one of the big things that we've had through the years has been parking, and we've tried pickups and drop-off areas for our students, and really pickups in the evenings. And so this has really accommodated a lot of eliminate some of that traffic off that highway, which we have done somewhat using this parking lot over here more since we've changed that somewhat. But you would see we would still keep those existing gyms, and then there would be a new gymnasium within the school district. We'd have a larger band hall. And one thing, we have a lot of these, a lot of our facilities are spread out. We have some of this housed in here, but we have our art, we have our band, we have some of our specialty classrooms that are separate from this building, which, that is in itself a safety issue, and it really is. And so we were looking at, that would be consolidating everything under this building except for our ag facility, and that would be a separate facility out there that would be fenced in. So, there's some serious issues with some safety concerns as well in looking at this. Laura Reeves Intermediate, $22.6 million to do the renovations for that campus. And so grade reconfiguration would take place at that campus as well. It's currently a pre-K kinder campus, and so we'll be looking at moving those to the SES campus and then making it a 4th, 5th, and 6th grade. We'd be adding a wing to that, so that would add a new science lab, a new art room, a new band hall, and then several classrooms for growth as well. And so with these renovations, it is built in for growth as well. And then also, I think we're just talking about the stacking lanes. I think it was 65, maybe 65, 70 car stacking lane for the front of that. And that would be, instead of, is it Roosevelt Street that goes back on the side? That would be changing where it would be more in the front of that building. We would be adding additional parking for our teachers in a different area, so that we would dedicate that front area to pickups and drop-offs and parent parking. You can just kind of see the layout of this. Again, that's in the brochures that you have. And then our high school renovations, we're at $19.5 million. I think if you saw the video, when you enter those front doors, there is no vestibules in that area. So when you enter that front door, you're able to go anywhere you'd like in that high school, just about. And so, with all the safety updates and safety requirements hitting us now, and not that it should be told for us to do it, but it is a perfect time for us to address that. And so that is an area of adding the vestibule in for that. So that's, and then we have some special ed classroom needs that we want to address for that facility. And so a lot of those are combined in that $2.65 million. Restrooms, if you've been in our high school, when we have our cafeteria, we have, I think, about 3 lunches in there. And so restrooms, we want to locate some restrooms within inside of that cafeteria. We're all about trying to create a safe environment for that campus too. And so right now, all our kids are having to go out into the hallways, which that does create a issue in monitoring our students. As much as we'd like to trust them, they're still our students. So, and then also a new HVAC system. The building facility is 23 years old, and with that comes upgrades. And so it's not a want, it's a have-to item. And we're looking at anywhere around, I think, $1.7 million for some of those upgrades on that. And so that is a tremendous cost. That is not something that we can get a grant for. That's not something that, that's an awfully large item out of our maintenance and operation. So I just want to say, when we spend those kind of dollars for maintenance and operation, that does take away from student resources. That takes away from teacher salaries. That takes away from a number of things that we're trying to do for our student programs. Our CTE building, $11.65 million. Plant science, culinary arts, animal science, our robotics, engineering, and our health services. We have some excellent programs right now, and we're working around the room situations that we have, but there's not adequate space for these. There's just not. We're working in robotics out of 2 different rooms. I think if you happen to see the video of Mr. Miller, who does an outstanding job, we have state-winning robotics teams, but we're working out of 2 different classrooms, small classrooms, in which they're doing a lot of cutting and sawing and putting together machinery, and it's just not adequate space. Our culinary arts, same with it. We're trying to, a lot of those kids get those certifications and multiple certifications out of that program, and it's a growing program as well. So with these, we just do not have adequate space to serve those kids, and we'd like to have that CTE building to address those needs for us. And then our ag barn. We're a rural community here. We have our ag program, but we're not able to have those kids, to have those animals, and be able to work with those. And look, we're looking to try to expand that program and work with our kids, give them that niche that they belong to something else. And we know that ag barn can help with those programs with our students. And then our athletic facilities, $5.2 million for our athletic facilities. If you've been through there during the baseball seasons, you'll know. And they hold tremendous amounts of water. Our coaches, our students, our families, they all work to try to keep those in condition. But we think that through some renovations that we can certainly be able to improve that situation with engineering company looking at that. You know, there's been questions about, you know, what we can do to fix the drainage issue. So certainly we have looked and worked with our engineering company that same did our football field as far as the water situations that we've experienced on those and trying to eliminate that. So we wouldn't just be laying turf over mud. We would be fixing the drainage problems and addressing that all in one. So just again, just a touch, this is just a kind of overview of the career and technical education. Again, just going back, plant science, engineering, culinary arts, our ag barn, animal science, and health science. We turn away lots of kids each year for every one of those programs because we don't have the space for those. And again, this is all about our students. And so, you know, we want to try to make this environment as best we can for our students. We don't want to turn away those kids, and so we feel this would help meet that need. Then you just kind of see what the layout is. And again, these are in your brochures, because I know it's probably hard to see from a distance. So our DAEP relocation. I'm not sure if everybody knows where our currently where our DAP is located, built in 1949. It is an old facility, and I can hear, why would we want to build a new DAP facility for our students that can't behave in the classroom? But they're still our students. They are our students, and our objective is to redirect that behavior and get them back into our classrooms if we can. And look, we have students that are phenomenal students. They make an error in judgment, and they're placed at that DAP. Lots of times we don't have a choice. That is what the law will say on some of these things. But this is not an adequate facility for those students. And it's not only our students, it's our teachers. And we want to provide a safe environment for those students, for our teachers. And so being across town, it keeps them separated from all of our campuses over here. And so we want to make sure that we have a good patrol side, a police officer in hand, close by in proximity for us. And then we also, our cafeteria, they tote food across town day after day after day to try to serve those students. You know, we serve somewhere from 35 to 40 students in that facility. It's a very important facility. It's not a Taj Mahal. 3.1 million sounds like a lot, but it's not a Taj Mahal being built. It's a facility being built so that we can improve those conditions for our students and for our teachers. So, and it houses our elementary, junior high school, has a small dining area, reception offices, staff lounge, and restrooms. The minimal requirements to house those students. And so I know you can't read this, but this is just kind of a tentative phases of our projects if this bond were to pass. Our Laura Reeves, everything kind of hinges around the beginning. That project would be Laura Reeves and getting that project completed. Potentially, and these are tentative phases, Laura Reeves completion in August 2025. Our athletic facilities November of 24. Our ag barn December of 2024. Our Silsbee High School vestibule maybe August 2024. Our SES cafeteria restrooms, or SHS, I'm sorry, in completion of October of 2024. And our CTE completion around April of 2026. These are some of our, while the intermediate has to be the first place that we start, a lot of these other projects are going to be smaller projects that can be completed in a faster time and that they're at different locations. Phase 2 would be our new middle school completion. It would be around August of 2026. And then our high school renovations would be phase 3, some of our other areas to address, and then our phase 4 DAP relocation. Again, these are tentative, but these are the order that we want to see these go in. So, you know, the dates may vary on the completion somewhat, but this is the order that we'd like to see those go in. And again, we talked about these with our facility advisory committee. These weren't just Silsbee administrators and board. We talked about this as a committee of how we wanted to see these projects implemented. The tax impact, I think you talked about it a while ago, to average homeowner, homestead exemptions. That will also be on the ballot to be a $100,000 homestead exemption. And you just talked about the impacts of this and what it would be with this bond were to pass. And so again, it said $150,000, which you'd see an increase of $7.86 a month in your taxes. A home valued at $175,000, you can kind of get the idea. That would see an increase of $11.79 a month in taxes. And then again, our 65 and older, for those who have homesteaded properties, then they would not see that their homesteaded properties see a tax increase on those. All right, so just again, early voting begins October 23rd through November 3rd, and election day is November 7th. And then our early voting will be at the City Hall and in our administration office, and that will be Monday through Friday from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. And election day will be at City Hall. All right, now we're gonna open this up to Ms. Johnson's going to come up, and we're going to begin answering a few of these questions that were submitted to us in advance. And then again, like I said, we'll answer some questions that we've collected through our Facebook and through emails. And then if you do not feel like you've had some questions answered, then we'll answer those into the end. So, all right, you ready?
All right, so this first line of questioning is going to come from those folks who have submitted to our Google form that was posted on our Facebook page, so we're going to get started with those. All right, question number 1. Will there be any additional playground equipment installed at SES with shaded structures over the equipment?
Okay, I'll answer that one. The playground equipment that for our younger age students will be relocated to the Silsbee Elementary School campus, as well as appropriate age equipment will go to the Laura Reeves campus. The shaded canopy will either be relocated or a new one will be installed at the Silsbee Elementary School campus.
All right, question number 2. If the bond passes and SISD collects more money from citizens of Silsbee, what are the expectations on the return on taxpayer investment in terms of school performance? How will those expectations be measured and communicated to those funding this? And what accountability is in place to ensure that taxpayers are rewarded for their sacrifice with a high-performing school district?
Silsbee ISD always strives to utilize taxpayer dollars efficiently and effectively, which is reflected in our annual school financial reports issued by the Texas Education Agency. Silsbee ISD has received superior A ratings for the past 4 years. The purpose of this meeting is to share and clarify the facts of the 2023 Bond Referendum presented to the community. Please understand that Silsbee ISD is not in control of the accountability rating system that are put in place by the Texas Education Agency, which are currently under litigation for the lack of transparency in establishing accountability measures. Silsbee ISD remains focused on continuous school improvement through developing early education programs designed to build literacy and math foundations, extracurricular programs that encourage teamwork, and college and career readiness programs to produce the next leaders of tomorrow. It would be the hope that this bond package, which impacts multiple campuses and programs, will enhance those opportunities for all SISD students.
Alrighty, question number 3. What security measures for high school are incorporated?
So the entrance to the high school would have an added layer of protection with the installation of a vestibule and additional security cameras.
Question 4. What is the plan for CTE students transitioning classes across the driveway from the current building?
Students will have bus transportation to and from the facility throughout the day. There will be a bus stationed at the high school. There will be a bus station at the Cape building, and these will go back and forth, and it will also provide extra hours for some of our bus drivers that are looking for extra hours.
Question number 5. Would the soccer field be more practical for the CTE building locations to connect to the Silsbee High School building?
I want to thank y'all for coming first and foremost, but you know, the CTE building is going to be a focal point if the bond passes, and putting it back at where the soccer field is. It puts no visibility. It doesn't put it in front of our campuses as one of the newest buildings being built, and it isolates our staff and some of our students whenever there's activities that are happening, not just during school hours, but there will be a lot of stuff after school hours also that we have to keep in mind. So that's the reason we want to keep that focal point out front.
Question number 6. Would it be better financially to reconfigure the elementary school with a pre-kinder hall or 2 with a dining hall? You could accomplish this by utilizing the teacher parking. The rest of the property could be used for another playground, parking for teachers and parents, bus ramp, and maybe a second car rider pickup and drop off.
Yeah, this was a challenging question of trying to understand when it's submitted. I think I understand what they meant. And they talk about maybe trying to add an extra pre-K kinder hall or 2 into the current SES building. And so, and then an extra dining hall, I guess, to accommodate that. And so that does on the surface sound kind of like a simple solution to that. But you know it really doesn't provide enough shared space when we look at having our 6th grade placed on that campus as well, because we still have to have a science lab, we still have to have a band hall, art rooms built, and so it just doesn't provide enough shared space of adding just a couple of wings to that, and then adding an extra dining hall. And then we have to think about these construction phases. I mean, we can't eliminate a building and move everybody into that at once, because I think what they were saying, we tear down the intermediate, and then we make that a new playground, we make that some new teacher parking. And so these construction programs have to be very well coordinated, and that would eliminate, that wouldn't be possible to be able to eliminate a building or to relocate our current teacher parking that lies between SES and Laura Reeves, because that is dedicated to our teacher parking, and it's dedicated to our bus runs. The front of SES is dedicated to our student pickups and drop-offs. And so while that on the surface sounds like a little bit of a simple solution, it's not quite so simple or possible of being able to do that. So just adding additional square footage to that building would not address what our needs or our objectives are.
All right, the next round of questions are some of the ones that are asked frequently on our social media pages, and we just want to address them here just to make sure that everybody understands and is getting their questions answered. All right, question number 6. What bid process will be used for this bond?
Currently, it is premature to determine the delivery method for construction services. As always, Silsbee ISD will comply with all legal construction procurement processes and procedures. Because the Bond Referendum proposes multiple projects, it is likely to have multiple contractors using more than one delivery method based on the project and the best value to the district. Construction services are determined by the Silsbee ISD Board of Trustees, all of us, during a regular or special called meeting open to the public.
Question number 7. How were estimates for the project determined?
So estimates have been determined by the architects. They have assessed our current facilities and provided cost estimates based on educational program specifications, square footage analysis of training construction costs, accessibility to utilities, soft costs, projects with similar scope of work, as well as inflationary costs. Because this is a proposed bond referendum, the district has not committed financial resources for the design phase. Should the bond pass, the district would then proceed with the design planning phase.
Question number 8. How will safety be ensured during the construction phase of the project?
That's a very good question. Safety is always paramount, safety for our kids and our staff. So anytime there's a construction project, then the safety procedures are all coordinated between the construction company as well as our administration. So such things are included, but not are limited to, our background checks, employee lists submitted to the district, so we'll know exactly who's supposed to be on the campus, established check-in procedures, established work hours, visible identification, badges, certain uniforms, so everything is the same. And then specific areas that are identified off limits during school hours. As it was with our Silsbee Elementary School, there was only very, very limited where the workers were inside the building or, you know, something like that. So everything is kept separate so that the construction workers are not in the areas where our students would be.
All right, question number 9. Why can't first grade be moved to the Laura Reeves campus and sixth grade move to the SES campus?
You know, this is it's a big discussion that has happened a lot. And first thing I'd like to say is, first and foremost, this whole process is about student outcomes, student achievement, and student growth. So that's what we have to be focused on the whole time we're talking about this. There was a lot of community members engaged in this discussion. I'd like to thank everybody from the Facility Advisories Committee, because this was something they dove deep into, was this question, and which that consists of business owners, teachers, and administrators throughout the district. The primary concern revolves around the placement of the sixth graders. That was the primary concern. Because as most of you know, some of you have or may have preteen adolescents, and they go through a lot of social emotional changes. So there's a growing body of research that says sixth grade students not in a middle school campus, they have higher attendance rates, they have very, academic achievement is a lot higher, and there's less discipline issues. I know Dr. Wee spoke about that a while ago, and I concur with everything he says. So there was an overwhelming consensus with the Facility Advisory Committee that giving our sixth graders a greater chance of individual and academic success was to move them with the fourth, fifth, and sixth graders. Now, the other problem is if you say move first grade, so it'd be pre-K, kindergarten, and first grade, well, now you have kind of the same thing you have at the middle school. You have second graders going to school with sixth graders. So I think this, and that was talked about, and I think overwhelmingly the consensus came to be fourth, fifth, and sixth graders at the campus.
Question number 10. What monies were used from the 2013 bond to renovate the middle school in Laura Reeves?
All right, based on accounting and bond construction records, there was $1,738,922.94 that was spent on renovating the middle school. The overwhelming majority of that, over 75%, was spent on the HVAC systems there that will be repurposed for the new campus. Based on accounting and bond construction records, there was $715,313.03 spent on renovating the Laura Reeves campus. 92% was spent on costs associated with roofing and HVAC. The roofing and HVAC upgrades completed with 2013 bond proceeds will continue to serve the Laura Reeves campus. 8% was spent on items that will not be repurposed or continue to be used with the renovation at Laura Reeves. That 8% includes items such as retrofitting the restrooms for pre-K kindergarten students, the security doors that were installed, which will go away with the new front entrance to Laura Reeves.
All right, question number 11. Why build a new middle school instead of renovating the current facility?
So Dr. Weiss mentioned this earlier. So when considering the major renovations versus new construction, it would be about an 82% cost for renovation, or you just do the new facility. So it looks like it's about a $7 million difference versus having rebuilt this and all the old bones, or restructuring everything and making it better for our students.
All right. Should Senate Bill 1, which is the voucher bill, pass and parents pull their kids out of Silsbee schools and their tax dollars follow them to other schools, how will the shortfall be made up?
First of all, I think it's important to remember that if the bill, S-Bill 1, which is known as the voucher bill, passes, it will affect every school district across the state of Texas, not just Silsbee. It will affect everybody. So there will be issues across the state that will addressing that. But regarding for the bond referendum, the financial commitment is not based on our student count or enrollment. Therefore, there would have to be a significant reduction in our community population to impact the bond commitments. The bond package focuses on addressing the current conditions of our facilities to create the most optimal teaching and learning environment so that Silsbee ISD remains the first choice of families that reside in the Silsbee ISD school boundaries, which I believe just makes it even more important that we have updated state-of-the-art facilities to offer our children in this community.
So that concludes all of the ones that we have, questions that have been submitted and ones that we have been getting frequently on social media. So now we're going to open it up for a few minutes. If anyone in here has any questions, just raise your hand and we will get to you, and then one of these guys up here will answer.
I don't need that. All right, so when you were talking about the new building for the high school, you're talking about busing the kids from the main campus to the new building across the pond? Yes. That they can't walk? I'm just curious, because I mean, the way I look at it, you're going to be spending more money using buses, fuel, taxes, employees to, they can the exercise walk back and forth.
Sure. Well, you know, we're looking at the conditions of the environment, I guess, whether it's been raining or storming or whatever it may be. Look, in the fact of it, we have bus drivers that currently, they want to work more hours, and we need them. And so this would provide also, I'm just saying, in addition to, this would provide them some extra hours to be able to help with that. But we couldn't predetermine what the conditions of the weather, the elements of the weather would be. And so we would provide those. You know, we've looked at a lot of other districts, and there's a lot of districts that have different, their CTE facilities not located next to the campus. And so this would be just a way for us to be able to ensure that they have that opportunity to get to their classes back and forth in time. And so, you know, we'll have some adjustments made to our schedules, obviously, and that'll be something we'd look at. But we just have a bus that would be waiting there, and a bus that would be picking up and transporting those kids back and forth.
So that wouldn't interfere with pick-up and drop-off times for the regular kids and everything, since bus is going to go for, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so
sure.
When school gets out, that those students being picked up from that portion having to be bused back over there to the high school, it's not going to interfere with pick-up times and drop-off times for everybody else.
It should not. It'd be something that we just have to work around and figure those things out a little bit. But no, we would make that work, whether we had to do some adjustments with where those two particular buses would be at. I mean, we would just have to work around that and make that work, but we would. So it just takes some planning and with that.
Are there any projects from the 2013 bond that have not been completed? And if so, what's going to be the checks and balances going forward to ensure there's continuity, where it's board turnover or administration turnover, to ensure those projects get completed?
Very good question. No, there are not any projects out of that 2013 that haven't been completed. And so I think that's something that we've all talked about, if should this bond pass, of setting up a bond committee to ensure where our spending is going, and not just made up of our board, but also of some of our community members, so that we can be open and transparent of where this spending would be going. Should there be a new superintendent, or should there be new board members, that those steps would be in place so that we keep track, and there's a transparency with this community of wherever penny of that money goes to. There shouldn't be anything hidden, shouldn't be anything that we couldn't answer, and shouldn't be anything that we shouldn't be able to show on paper of where those dollars are going. So, you know, we have talked about making sure that we have something in place so that we build that trust and keep trust with our community. You know, I've heard that there was maybe some, I won't say lack of transparency, but people that just didn't have a good taste with the last bond, and I don't know that to be true, and I wasn't here with that, and some of these board members may not as well, but I would just say that we would certainly do a good job of being transparent with where these tax dollars would be going.
when we built the newer elementary school we have now, we were told that first and second grade would be on the first floor, that they would be all nice and safe, and that they wouldn't be going upstairs to have to worry about safety issues. But now y'all are wanting to put first, second, and third grade, which third grade is already on the second floor as it is. But I worry about my kindergarten granddaughter next year will be in first grade, and she's small, and climbing those stairs with a backpack on her back like she does, she could fall. And those stairs over there are made of cement, marble, or whatever, but they are extremely hard. I've already had the granddaughter I have custody of fall at that school this year out in the parking lot doing PE. And I worry about this little one going up the stairs, and then what's she gonna do to play outside? There's no grass, so y'all gonna come up with a nice grassy area? Because I had this huge dental bill that I'm paying for, where my oldest one, her 2 front teeth were burst out, and the school district couldn't, the principal told me that was not something that they could help cover. So I wanna know, safety issues. What if they are going up these stairs and they fall? What's gonna happen when they wanna go outside and play? Are they gonna be playing on cement also? Can we make a grassy area where these elementary children can play and be safer than cement?
Well, another great question. And so with that, obviously we would be looking at the playground areas. I think that was a question earlier with the canopies and some of our playground equipment. What would that look like? And so again, that would be us working together with our administration and looking at what would be some age-appropriate equipment, and if we needed to update current equipment that's at Laura Reeves right now to be relocated over there, and getting feedback like you're giving us right now of what might be some considerations as we look at that. So we haven't really got into a design phase of those playground areas. So that would be an opportunity for us when we, should this bond pass, that we get to that design phase of what we would like to see those playgrounds and what some of the interests are in providing a good, safe environment on the playgrounds. You know, as far as looking at our, whether first grade students will go up those halls, we've talked about that, and we've watched these kids. Our kids are very resilient. We've watched them on the playgrounds. I mean, they have the ability to follow rules and to be able to do as you know, fall in line with our students to go up these stairs. We've watched these kids. I've been to these open houses. I see our first graders running up and down those stairs when they're over there with their siblings at open house. And so, you know, we don't know that all of our first grade students may be upstairs, and we're looking at that as well. We have the capability of possibly having those on the first floor as well. But there may be students going on that second level, and we think that our kids would be able to. Our facilities are built with required safety standards for that, and it would take some working with our students of knowing how to go up and down those stairs on a regular basis. And so we feel like that's not going to be a safety issue for our kids. And we can't speculate if our kids are going to fall up and down those stairs or where they're going to fall out on the playground. I mean, we address each of those individually when those happen. And it's unfortunate that your grandchild had that incident. But you know, those things do happen, and that's just unfortunate. As far as our kids having accidents at school, it does happen, and they don't live in a bubble, and that just, unfortunately, that does take place. But we feel like our facilities are built to the standards that they should be, and that our kids would be able to follow those guidelines of getting up and down those stairs.
Okay, so with the 2013 bond, we currently were in this district when that happened. However, I've seen so many people post on Facebook, so I was kind of shocked that this question wasn't asked, considering it's the main one that's been on Facebook, is everything that y'all did in 2013 for Laura Reeves, it's now being undone, and yet we're still paying on that one. So how can we assure that we're not going to continue this and have to keep paying for things over and over for it to be done, then undone? Because that's just wasted the money that we still are paying on. And now I'm kind of stuck with that debt because I moved into the district.
Right, and yes, you know, we're trying to look at making transitions best for our students. You know, what might have been good 15, 20 years ago. I mean, we all know times have changed. I mean, situations have changed. And so we talked about that a while ago, 92%. So when we had to look back, because I wasn't here during that bond either. And so we went back and looked at those records. And so 92% of what was spent on that facility will still be in place. And so, yes, there is some things as far as the retrofitting of those restrooms, and I think there was a few things done to some of the classrooms. A lot of those things are still going to be in place. Obviously, retrofitting the restrooms, we'll be changing those if that bond were to pass. So as far as the roofing, all the AC, that took a majority. That 92% of the $715,000 that we tracked that was spent on that Laura Reed's campus will still be currently used. Still got to have the roof, still going to use the AC. So yes, there is some things that unfortunately that were used with that bond that we would not see. But look, times have changed, and we have to think about what's going to be in the best interest of our students. And we certainly believe that relocation and grade reconfiguration would be an important thing for helping our students have individual and academic success, and that really is the purpose of that. And so just went back, again, 75% of some of the things that were the air conditioning and some of the chiller units really was the biggest expense over here at this campus. And so, and we've talked with architects of being able to, repurpose that, the majority of that. And then some things that were done on this campus were just to keep this campus up and running. And so that's what we get into, of trying to sometimes continue to mandate facilities to keep those up and running. So restrooms were, I think, were updated, some locks and doors, a few things like that. And so those were just things to keep it up and running. So with the 75% of that, we would still try to repurpose that, because those aren't old units that we would be able to use for the new facility. Thank you for that question.
Looking at your total estimate here of $84.5 million, one of the questions I have is the prior bonds, were there any cost overruns for those projects? And looking at this one, what is the likelihood or probability of cost overrun? Because this is a big project. What is the likelihood or probability of cost overruns hitting us on this firm?
Well, as far as knowing what those cost overruns were in 2013, I probably couldn't answer that for you right now, but I would be glad to track down that information and get your email and get you that answer for what those, if there were runs over on that facility, because I do not know that. But anybody that submitted those early, I tracked down that information for you, and I'll do the same for you. For this, there's some inflationary costs built in for this, and at any time, it's right now, construction time is a tough time estimating these costs, and so we've built in inflationary costs for that for each year, and trying to stay on phase on these projects. So that's, I think there's 3%, roughly 3 or 4% we've built in on inflation for each year on those projects. So that's what we've anticipated in on that. But I'd be glad to track down that information on the 2013.
And to talk about the inflation, I mean, that amount of money wasn't just asked for just to try to ask for the highest amount. That's what we don't want. We don't want to get into it and then prices increase on material, because I buy material every day at work. So we've had such a tremendous price increase in material that we don't want to overrun, and we don't want to have to tell the taxpayer. We won't be accountable. I know I see everybody in here in the grocery store, so I know I'm going to be held accountable, because I see it at football games and everything. So that's what we don't want to be, because we do want to be, we are held accountable to the taxpayer, and we do want to show our due diligence.
And I just want to add to that, Dana and I were the only ones that were on the board when that previous project, and as I recall, there were some times due to weather, that caused, the cost to go up. But as I recall, Dana, if you can remember too, is that we cut corners in other areas. I say cut corners instead of a higher grade floor or whatever. We used a lower grade floor, still sufficient and all of that. So we looked at that and we followed it very carefully just to make sure to cut that as much as we could But I know he'll get the exact amounts for you on that, so, thank you.
Anyone else have any questions?
I'll follow up with the bus thing. I actually like the students getting on the bus, that security and safety there, going up to CTE building. But what about the security system at the CTE building? Have y'all thought that into it?
Yes, just the same as that, we'd have some double entry doors with that. And then again, we'll have our police that would continue to be patrolling that whole campus as they do. So, but yes, there'll be, as far as fencing, we're not sure about how that, if that would look like a fencing that area, but as far as having those vestibule entrances, so once they're dropped off, they're in those buildings, they're in it. And so most of those at that area will be, everything will be housed within that building. And so they won't, a lot of that, nothing will be outside of that other than getting back on that bus and heading back to that campus.
A follow-up question on that.
Sure.
On your security stuff, I mean, I know you're fixing to put video installation. Who's going to be taking care of watching the cameras?
Those all go to our campus administrators, and then also our police chief back here. Also, they have access to those cameras as well, and those are viewed pretty regularly. I mean, it's not gonna lie, it's tough keeping up with it, but video don't lie. So, but we do. Our principals, our assistant principals, and our police chief, they do monitor those cameras. Thank you for the question. Yes, ma'am.
The track back here, is it going to be a live track? I heard you say that we're going to put 4 lanes. Is it going to be a live track where they're going to have actual track meets, or is it going to stay up practice?
It's just going to be a 4-lane track. It won't be a competitive track. I mean, we looked at cost estimates on that, and just the prices were so high. We really need it for physical activity, and then for our students just to be able to practice track out there and still host our track meets at the high school. Thank you.
I just want to say something. Since I've been on the board, there has always been a desire to have a K facility. And over the last 20 years, I think there has become a more need for a K facility. I've not seen a bond, and I was here for the last one, that so many different kids are going to be affected by it. We may not have every little answer for a question that you have for the child age you have, but I can tell you, I saw a video on a newscast of a K facility that just opened, I think, in Sealy. Is that north of Dallas? Sealy, and they actually called it a mall. And on the outside they had classrooms, but on the inside it was like a mall. And you had your art class, whatever who met there, also ran a little store out front. And I'm trying to think, like they had a beauty shop there because they had the cosmetology part of it. And it was you have classes on video tech and movie tech, and they even ran like a little studio in there, like a recording studio or a little movie studio, and it gave the whole community an opportunity to see what's going on in our schools. And I'm not saying that's what ours is going to be, but I'm saying a CAPE facility has so much to offer when we're looking at school to work, and I think now we're looking more at that. Also, just a personal thing, as from being an ag teacher here, I saw a lot of kids that wanted to be involved with animals that had no place to keep them. I was fortunate, my family had land, so we had a place to keep our animals. I think an ag barn is just going to be a phenomenal addition also, where shows can be held here. You know, I think when you look at the big picture of everything that it offers, it's just going to be a wow thing. And you know, I don't talk a lot about sports because I don't play any, but I am a #1 cheerleader for all of them. And I have seen our baseball field several times underwater, and games have to be moved to other schools. That's not That's not fair. And I just think this is going to affect all ages, and I think everybody gets something out of it. I just think it's a really good thing that everybody gets something. You know, might not be just what you want here, but these kids over here are gonna gain. And you think, it might not be what I want here, but these other kids over here are gonna gain. I think we're all gonna gain, and I think the community will gain. That's just my opinion. Thank you.
Anybody else have any questions?
Let me ask one more thing. How long is this bond for? 20 years, 30 years?
Mr. Witt would like to answer that. Again, Mr. Witt is our financial advisor. I can't answer that, but I won't let him.
So state law allows for school bonds approved by voters to be amortized, paid out up to 40 years. This bond is designed for a maximum of 30 years with an option to prepay beginning in 10 years. So because it is new construction, brand new construction, a brand new middle school will last much longer than 30 years. The amortization will be shorter than the useful life of the asset. So, but again, the district will have the opportunity to begin prepaying on that bond, so it may never make it to 30 years. And it's not a deferral to the 30th year. We pay on the bond each and every year of that 30-year period.
Last call for questions. Anybody else got any more questions?
If you didn't get your question answered, if you can just see me after this, or if you have any other questions after you leave tonight, you go home, you stew on what the information you've been provided with tonight. If you have another question, we are going to open up that Google form that we had submitted earlier, and for this bond presentation, we're going to open that back up so you can submit your questions then. We're going to open it up for just a couple of days, and then please make sure that you have insert your email address as well. Give us your email address so we can make sure that we get that question answered for you, and we're going to submit it back to you.
All right, well, we want to thank everybody for taking the time to be here tonight. It's important for you to know and get this information out, or hopefully we provide some answers for you that you maybe didn't know. But again, thank you for taking the time to be here. Again, submit any questions that you want to her, or if you didn't get one answered, and then if you'll make sure you get her your information, then I'll follow up on your question. All right, thank everyone for being here, and have a good rest of the evening.